Hello, my name is Susan. I'm here with Everfi from Blackbaud, and I work on the partnerships team. We help companies align their brand with social good and community impact initiatives. Because we all know expectations are changing. Consumers and employees want to align themselves with companies that are making a difference, companies that are doing social good. And we know that we have the power in our brands to do social good, but there's also this expectation that we participate in these community initiatives. Not everyone knows how to do that or where to start or how to track the impact, and that's where we come in. We can help companies figure all that out. We've been doing it for about 40 years now. And we love participating in these brand innovator events because they bring together people like you, talented, smart, creative, thoughtful professionals who really want to figure out how we can use our brands to make a difference in the world. I'm here with three exceptional marketing professionals from Danone. And Danone's mission is clear and simple: to bring health through food to as many people as possible. And that's exactly what we're here to talk about today. In early 2022, last year, baby formula disappeared from the shelves here in the United States. And Danone was called upon by President Biden himself to save the day. So panelists, please introduce yourselves and your role in responding to this crisis and bringing the #1 baby formula in Europe, Aptamil, to the United States.
Hi, everyone. I'm Kate Lancelot. I am the Senior Brand Manager for infant formula here in the US.
Hi, I'm Becca Kowalczyk. I'm the Senior Creative Director over on the Happy team, and as well, Aptamil bringing it to the United States.
Hi, everyone. I'm Jess Dickstein. I lead the Marketing Center of Excellence for our infant nutrition businesses, including our beautiful Happy Family brand right here. We like props, this team, so don't mind us. Our Happy Family business and now Aptamil. And my team led the marketing activation plan to bring Aptamil to support families in the crisis.
Excellent. I think this first question goes to Jess. How did Danone take the leap to decide that they were going to try to help bring Aptamil to the US? And what was the timeline?
Yeah. So Susan, as you mentioned, the White House came to us, and I'm not sure if all of you know, but Danone is the #2 global infant formula manufacturer in the world. So the White House came to us and asked, what could we do to help? And as you mentioned, we are a mission-driven organization. Linda mentioned this morning, we're a global B Corp. It's really within our DNA. So it wasn't a question of, if we were going to help, but really how and how fast. And we quickly enabled a global task force across the entire global organization to really see where we could pull product from. As you can see, we have our beautiful Aptamil cans there. We had to bring in English language packaging. We didn't have time to remake pack artwork. So we had to reach out to all the markets around the world to see where we could pull supply. And the timeline was pretty crazy. Got a few gray hairs from that. But, it started with the recall in February, as you mentioned. And by May, the government had declared that it was an emergency. And President Biden had called it Operation Fly Formula, because he was actually arranging for military planes to fly baby formula from all over the world to fill shelves in the US to help parents as they're walking up to an empty shelf. So by June, our product was on the shelf, and then it was my team's charge to drive awareness and education of this product. This brand, as you mentioned, is the #1 formula brand in Europe. It's beloved by parents and families all over the world, but it's not known here in the US. So that was our charge in less than 60 days to put together a full cross-channel plan.
Incredible. And since this product didn't exist in the United States, how did Danone really support the Happy Family team in particular in focusing their efforts on this endeavor?
Yeah, I love to answer that. I'm wondering, we also have a
Yes,
video
can we?
that maybe can just bring to life the crisis situation. So if we want to roll that video.
In early 2022, baby formula disappeared from shelves. So we got to work, meeting, planning, production, more planning, packing, wrapping, sort of the supply chain. A lunch break. Call the FDA, work with the boss, not that boss, that boss. Then shipping, and more shipping. All to get products from Ireland, Germany, the UK, and even New Zealand. The doors to moms, dads, and caregivers. Because when it comes to the health of the ones that matter most, Danone will stop at nothing. That's our mission in action.
Incredible. And yeah,
Thanks, Gina.
thank you. So it's the number one formula in Europe, but nobody knew about it here. And your team had to figure out a way to get this new messaging across about a new product to us anyway, in a very short time frame. How did Danone support your team, in particular, the Happy Family team, in doing that?
Yeah, it's a great question. So, you have our small, scrappy, entrepreneurial, happy team working on, these beautiful products that you see here that we're so passionate about. And then all of a sudden it's like, hey guys, we're going to do this. We've got Aptamil. And it was just go time. And I think it was just a beautiful, I'd say as a leader, to see the team, everyone come together. Nothing was out of our scope. It was, let's go. Where's the brand book? Learn it, do it, like, let's get this out there. So it was a huge rally and it took a village. So it was not our team alone. I think the Danone organization all came together. This was a gorgeous example of a one team mentality. We had support from the entire organization, from the broader marketing, COE, e-commerce team. You saw Arena up on the stage before, legal, regulatory, operations, consumer connections. Think about that team fielding hundreds and hundreds of calls from parents that are frantic that they can't feed their littlest baby. So incredible, support from the global team. I think it's really like the best of the big and small, of like the small team and within the larger organization. I had folks calling me, reaching out, saying, what do you need? I had teams lending us team members as extra set of hands. So we have a lot of gratitude for the broader Danone organization for supporting us with this initiative, but it was an incredible rally cry.
Sounds like it. What an incredible time in history. I mean,
Yeah.
just amazing. The product specifically, Kate, maybe you can speak to this. How did you bring that product to life specifically for the US consumer?
Yeah. So Jess touched on this a bit, but the first step in this was, how do we survey an understanding of what is available in the world across the incredible network of this manufacturer, being the number 2 global manufacturer of infant formula, in English label product that would also not cause shortages by a ripple effect in other markets. So we worked extremely collaboratively with our operations partners to identify product in Ireland and product that was actually manufactured in New Zealand. So all the way on the other side of the world that we could bring to the US market, and then really got down to business in pulling together all of the requirements across quality, across nutritional information, across the audits of the facilities for the FDA enforcement discretion requirements, collaborating very actively with them as well as the White House. So that was quite an endeavor, and to see the speed and agility with which the organization and frankly the US government was able to really partner to bring this product as quickly as possible was really inspiring, and I think really shows the best of all of our teams, from the US regulatory all the way to the facility workers in New Zealand and Ireland. And then, as Jess said, on the US brand and marketing and creative front, we are just rapidly pulling together a whole marketing ecosystem to support a brand that no one knows, and to allow consumers to use products properly and safely that do not read in directions that they are used to reading in the US, are not served with scoops that they are used to in the US, which this is a really high touch, important product for people to use. And parents are really stressed in this time and want to make sure that they're using it correctly. So building out all of our communications and care line support for that was certainly an endeavor. But I think the thing that I'm most proud of as it relates to bringing these products to the US is our work related to access. So we address access in the US in a couple of different ways. The first is we worked very closely with the USDA, who runs the Women, Infant, and Children program, which is government subsidized free infant formula, and 50% of the infant formula that is consumed in the US is through this program. Those families were disproportionately affected by the recalls and the shortages in the US, and getting a product that could be WIC eligible and approved was a top priority for the US government and a top priority for us. And so we worked very closely with USDA to get the product from New Zealand, our Optimal Gold product, approved and eligible for WIC reimbursement for fully free formula to support those families. And we are extremely proud of that. The ability to be able to serve that need was so great and seen as so great by the White House that they actually used those military planes to bring that product from New Zealand to the US to get it here as fast as possible. So that was something that I think we're really proud of. And then additionally, you know, we partnered closely with many retailers. The sales organization really came through for us to bring, to be able to get this into the hands of US consumers. And in particular, we partnered with Walgreens to bring our infant formulas to all 8,000 stores, which really helps with access, especially in markets where you may not have a Walmart, you may not have a Target, you might not have a Kroger, but there's a Walgreens within a mile of most families in the US. So that was a novel, but you know,
no, it's so impressive. And to think that this was, I don't know, are we post-COVID now? But this was at a time when people, especially people who are considered disadvantaged already, were, you know, more vulnerable than ever, and so scared, I'm sure, about this new product and what to, you know, feeding their babies.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So on the marketing front, are we going, Jess? And
Hi.
Yeah, hi, you again. When you think about the marketing efforts that were put into this, just multi-channel, I mean, I can't even. How did you bring it all to life and do it in such a short timeline?
A lot of iced coffee, like large cups.
Well, you have
of iced
really good coffee here, so you were well
a lot of
supplied.
Stoke, powered through Stoke.
Mm.
No, but seriously, I think there was a few key factors that enabled us to, you know, rapidly activate. I'll say one, I'll start with the team, and we have a lot of the team here. So hi guys. I think the culture of the team of wearing 1,000 hats and doing whatever it takes to get done was critical in our ability to do this. The agility of the team to flex across channels, the deep understanding that the team has, their personal passion for the categories that we work on. I'll say also, you know, personally, I'm a mom of two. At the time, my son was just kind of weaning off formula, but it was very personal for me. I caught, I'd say, like the start of the shortage, and it was terrifying. I couldn't find formula to feed my son. I was buying him formula from like super sketchy websites because I didn't know what else to do to be able to feed him. So I think I had a lot of empathy for the parents in this space, and so much of the team are also parents of young children as well. So you kind of take the passion and the expertise of this amazing team, and their deep understanding of the consumer journey, right? And even in a time of crisis where there is limited product on the shelf, this is a product. It's not a candy bar. It could be your sole source of nutrition for your child, right? So you're going to do research, and like you said, Susan, we needed to build a US website. We built it in 4 weeks' time, and that's something that could usually take 4 months.
I came from a digital agency prior to what I'm doing today. I think that website would have taken us over a year easily. The website alone, not to mention
that
other
alone.
channels.
And our digital lead is sick, Kristen, but she did an incredible job. I wanted to mention that. So building a site that has all the product information, store locator, how critical is that, right? So that parents could look up where they could find Aptamil in the store closest to them and they could get it right away. Review generation was critical. I personally messaged the owner of the Home Tester Network who had hundreds of Aptamil reviews overseas on LinkedIn. And he was a father of two and he helped us expedite reviews. So reviews were really critical to drive that trust in the market. And then as you think of the other channels where mom is researching, whether it's Google or whether she's on Amazon or our retail partners' websites, we have to make sure we're showing up there in search for her with the best in class digital content in the places where she's looking. So meeting her where she is, if she's researching on Baby Center, for example. We know that word of mouth in this category is critical. So we scaled that with influencer programs. And Raf spoke earlier about it's not just the content that's coming from the brand. In this category, particularly, moms listen to other moms. So having that program in place, which can take some time. So accelerating on all these fronts. And then not only on the consumer side, but the HCPs, pediatricians have enormous influence with parents, and they're a trusted partner for parents, and moms and dads and caregivers were running to their pediatricians for advice. So we had an outreach program to 40,000 pediatricians as well to make sure that we were showing up. But if parents were asking what is Aptamil, that the pediatricians had heard of us. So lots of activation. We also put together a digital asset to be able to scale awareness and education. And then Danone came to us and said, let's put that on TV. Let's broaden the reach and scale the reach. So we said, thank you. And we have that asset. I'll share it afterwards. But I would be remiss to say that those are, I'd say, the key factors, but it was also the structure of our organization. So we have an in-house creative team. The TV asset I'll show was done by an agency, but I think everything else, hundreds of pieces of content was done actually in-house by our creative team. So I think now I'm going to pass it to Becca and we could pull up the slide that shows. Oh, wait, you know what?
No, let's do
One-
the TV asset.
Okay, we'll show the TV asset. We'll show the TV asset. So this was done in 2 weeks' time. Let's roll this asset.
Aptamil may be new to you, but we're not new. For decades, parents feeding with formula have trusted us, making Aptamil the #1 formula brand in Europe today. And now, we're here for you.
So thank you. So that was, again, 2 weeks, and back to Raf's comment. I don't know if he's still here. I think it maybe cost 10% of a traditional TVC. And, I think, is it going to win a Clio award for most innovative breakthrough concept? Probably not, but it probably would win for speed to market. And I think we're really proud of that. All right. So now if we go back in this slide, just want to pull up the visuals that go back one more. Awesome. All right. And I'll hand it to Becca to talk about the ecosystem her team built.
How we did it. So, as both of these guys have said, this is an extremely unique category. You are communicating with parents about something that is only feeding their child in some areas. And you want to make sure that everything that they're seeing across every channel, every time they get an ad or they research, they go on organic media, everything, it has to be cohesive. The way that you talk about something, the way that the visuals come across, the iconography that you use, the way that you explain things, each of those pieces have to be cohesive. Otherwise, it becomes confusing in an already very confusing area. And the way that our internal team is set up was pretty much set up to do just that. So for Happy, we've had a lot of experience in this world of being cohesive in this omni-channel landscape across the whole CVJ. So we're talking about activating on roughly 9-ish different channels. And we started with a brand book and these products that we could not change. And the brand book was a global brand book. And so nobody in the US knows us. And the brand book speaks to a UK consumer, a very different consumer than the US. So it was really up to us to figure out how to quickly adapt, create new strategies, create new content, hundreds of pieces of content, working very closely with Jess's team, building A/B testing that we then learned from and adapted everything all over again. So you can imagine getting up a whole digital shelf and tile strategy for Amazon and organic media and all the pieces out there. And then all of a sudden learning that something actually resonates more. I think the proudest moment I had leading this team is, okay, let's change it all. Yeah, absolutely. Let's do the thing. And there was never a moment where people were saying this was not in scope. And I think it's because, we all kind of came together as there's a huge purpose here. And it was a really amazing experience. We are continuing to do this A/B testing and learning and creating more. And it's been amazing, but it really was a team of maybe 3 people creating hundreds of pieces of content. And that came from shooting in-house. We need this one lifestyle ad for a paid campaign to really drive this, or we didn't have anything from the UK assets that resonated in the US, and we had to create everything. So it was an amazing experience, and we're continuing to do it. But it really was because we're built this way. It's a unique team of very senior creatives who come from an agency world, and it makes us very agile and adaptable.
Yeah, but yeah, those skills were obviously critical in this situation, but to think that you were such a small team,
Yeah.
I mean, 3 or 4 people?
Yeah, and that includes, one person tracking all project management from, you can imagine every asset being created. Somebody has to make sure that every piece of content is the correct spelling is on the ad. I mean,
Yeah.
all these things, when it's happening so fast, it's very hard to manage. So there's that. We happen to have an in-house social creative who's a phenomenal photographer, and he was able to quickly shoot, product photography for us, or we'd call somebody over and be a hand model. We need a how to prep video on Amazon. And, you guys know how hard this is to come up with this content. And working with an agency and all of those types of layers that come into that, being able to work directly with the marketing team and with the brand team, you kind of dissolve all the chaos, and you're able to just all get together. This is what we need to do. Let's do the thing, and trust that the creative that's going to come out is going to be beautiful and effective, and be able to be seamless and cohesive and work from there.
Yeah, there had to be a lot of trust. Like, I think we talked about, this is the perfect example of what flying, what do they say? Building it and flying it at the same time. I mean, that is really what you were doing. You were testing and consuming that feedback and trying to make sense of it and pivot and, all at the same time.
Yeah, I think it really came down to being able to get feedback and constantly iterate came from that place of, Kate being able to come directly to our team and be like, hey guys, we have this New Zealand SKU that came in. Okay, now we need to change everything and show 2 SKUs, but only on half these ads. And how are we going to figure that out? Okay, we can redo them 24 hours later, no problem. And it really does take a very mature team to see the gravity of what we're doing. And, again, coming from past life agency side, when you're handed a global brand, you do not move this fast.
No.
It's something that was very unique to us. And it took my team sitting back and taking a little pause. I'm like, okay, sure, this is what you guys want to do.
Yeah, and I remember when we were prepping, I was kind of blown away by in so many assets, and even to the point of sale, a sign that would be sitting on the shelf for the parent or the person going to buy the product, the messaging that had to be there.
Yeah,
well.
we do that for Happy as well. And I think it is a very unique model that the creatives that are on our team work for, as we're looking at product from inception all the way through, we're thinking about, you can't change this pack, but you can affect all of these different touch points. You guys want to communicate X, Y, and Z on different assets, and you push and pull those levers across everywhere, but that really comes from a team who's very accustomed to working in shopper and e-com and all those places as well.
And the criticality, like Kate mentioned, of the preparation, because it's different than US prep, that's critical. So we created tear sheets that parents could take home with them. I mean, if you don't mix the product right, the consequences are not great, right? So we had to make sure that that was really front and center on all of our point of sale materials.
It's just, I can't imagine. Incredible. So now that you're on the other side of it, I'm really curious. Well, are you? Yeah, not really. The game continues.
That's for next time.
Right. What feedback have you gotten from US consumers? I'd love to Love to hear.
Yeah, so we have, I don't know if the slide is up, but we have a slide with some testimonials. We've received an outpouring of just positive sentiment from parents, hundreds and hundreds of emails and phone calls and hundreds of 5-star reviews you can read on our channels. Really just thanking us for bringing this high quality formula into the marketplace. The confidence it's given them as parents, and especially when they were walking up to an empty shelf and how terrifying that was. And I think also really interesting hearing from parents that had a connection to Europe, who'd known the brand or had been traveling to the UK and seen the brand, have family overseas, and were like, oh my God, this is here. I can't believe it. And they almost became kind of brand advocates for us within the parent communities, which was great.
It's awesome. Final thoughts. Not every company is going to be in a situation like this. This was a crisis. This was, really, really critical. And honestly, I think the work that you did saved lives. I don't think anybody could argue that. But what key learnings or advice would you have for another brand, another company that would have to navigate a critical, time-sensitive situation like this?
I can kick off, and then if anything you guys want to share, but I think like we mentioned earlier, this type of response was, I think, within our DNA, right? As a global B Corp, as a mission-driven company, Happy is a mission-driven brand. So for us, it was, we were going to act, right? And I'd say, for many of you out there, maybe you're not part of a B Corp or a brand that calls itself a mission-driven brand, but what can you do if something like this happens? Where can you lean in when the world needs you? How can you take the first step? Maybe it's a small one. Think about the products you have. How can they be of service? The services you have, the content you have, the people you have, and yeah, just take the first step. I think just because you're not a global B Corp with a really strong mission doesn't mean that there isn't something that the world could really use your help with.
Yeah, I think that to add to that, I think you lean in, like there's nothing that you can't affect. And I think, as creatives, our team always talks about there's something really, our GM always says this, there's something really magical when you're working with babies. It's something a little bit different. You have a purpose. And I think, for us that work at Danone, knowing that we're doing something good in the world is really powerful. And so putting yourself in positions where you can affect the world at any level, it doesn't matter. Anywhere you can find a place to lean in, it does your heart good.
I think agility. So I think a joke that we have at our team, back to the extra large coffee, is we get feedback, we see opportunity for improvement, we improve, and then we're back at the beginning because we've found another way that we can be improving. So it's being agile. It's the, like the Scrum model, right? Just like keep on iterating on it. I think reflecting also on something Raf said this morning around cultural relevance, right? We all work for, ultimately, or not, we do, not everyone here, but many of us do work for a large CPG. And there's the tendency, and I think desire, to make the big shiny object perfect before it goes into the world. What needed to be perfect for us was the way that we communicated about these products and their safety, quality, and efficacy with consumers. What didn't have to be perfect was every single one of those 100 pieces of content, because we have the team built out so that we can continue to iterate on them and make them better and better in real time with the feedback from real consumers.
They were definitely perfect.
This is a perfect team. Sure. When I think we'll wrap here. When I was researching and preparing for today and learning everything I could about Danone, one thing really, one line that I maybe read on your website really stood out for me. So much stood out, but I loved this. Each time we eat and drink, we can vote for the world we want to live in. So simple, so real. I think it's something to really consider. And I think the power in in big moves, big choices, but the power in very small choices that we can make every day can have a lasting difference. And so that's something I think we can all take away from this. It's something I'm taking away from this for sure. So thank you. Thank you for your time and your commitment to the greater good, mostly, and for your willingness to share all about the story and your efforts. Thank you.